Hey, my name is Lizzie Smiley, and I absolutely love helping people connect with their calling and all the tools they need to kick roadblocks and excuses right out the door so they can cultivate the life they dream about. If you want to launch, grow, pivot, or scale your Etsy shop, or you've always wanted to develop the mindset and skills to run your own business, then I'm your girl. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit going strong since my very first lemonade stand, and now I'm a work-at-home mama with multiple online companies and a full-time Etsy shop, all while being present with my kids for the everyday chaos and most important milestones. On this podcast, we'll talk about all things business, mindset, Etsy, creativity, dazzling our customers, and so much more. There's plenty of room at this table for you, so scooch on in and let's go. I'm holding nothing back. Welcome to How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the show this week. I'm excited to hang out with you and to talk about all things selling our stuff. And it's a really special day. I want to open up this episode by letting you know that I am starting to do a lot more on YouTube right now. I just recently kind of got a little kick in the pants and encouraged to create more over there. And the channel just recently cleared 2,000 subscribers. And I have a goal for the next 60 days to try to get it up to 3,000. What are the odds? So if you like YouTube and you would like to see more video content from me, please come on over to How to Sell Your Stuff on YouTube. I'll have it linked in the show notes. And I would love your feedback about what to create, like what videos you'd like. I have a list, partly from my brain, partly from ChatGPT, partly from research I've done, but I would just love any feedback you have. But I have some fun things planned to put on YouTube, and I'm hiring like a video editor and everything because it's a whole different ballgame than the editing for the podcast. So join me over there if you want to, even just to help me out boosting my rating on there and getting out. It's going to be fun. But today we have a really special guest. We are venturing outside of Etsy a little bit because, as I tell you guys, it's really important to think like a bit longer term. So we love starting on Etsy. It's a phenomenal place, especially if you're just getting started and it all feels overwhelming. But if we are building a business that we want to make full time, that we want to sustain through the years, that we want to scale, that we want as legacy, then we have to start thinking off like beyond Etsy at some point. We don't get rid of it. We keep it as a lead generator. And my guest, Jacqueline Snyder, who is the product boss herself. If you haven't heard of that podcast, I will be shocked. She's a marvel. And she is going to be talking to us about how we can start thinking a little bit bigger. And some of you are going to be like, oh, some of you are going to be a little uncomfortable. And that is okay. I promise you that I spend almost every single day being a little bit uncomfortable and stretched out of my comfort zone. And so since we're besties, we're just going to do it together and it's going to be okay. And some of you are going to be so excited because you're going to be like, this is what I've been looking for, waiting for. This is my sign. So let me tell you a little bit about Jacqueline if you're hearing about her from the first time. Jacqueline Snyder is the CEO and founder of The Product Boss and an entrepreneur with 20 plus years of product experience, ranging from fashion design to startup consulting. Through the top 10 ranked Product Boss podcast, yeah, she's got a massive freaking podcast, and educational programs like Multi-Stream Machine, she's empowered tens of thousands of small business owners to build life-changing product businesses. As a proud daughter of immigrants who inherited her entrepreneur mother's creativity and hustle, her mission is to help women break their own glass ceilings and achieve the life and business of their dreams. So I'm excited to have a very different conversation with you and pull you up to the fireside with us. Please help me welcome Jacqueline to the podcast. Yay! Jacqueline, hi. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited to be here.
You're a machine. I'm super excited. Your content is incredible. Your podcast is, I mean, like one day I want to grow up and be like you. So super excited to share. We need to, from the very beginning, because some of this is going to be a little new to me. I've listened to a bunch of your episodes, but I haven't gone back to the very beginning with you, which I'm a little intrigued. I've got to go back, but tell us about you. What is your background? How did you become the product boss? Also, what an amazing name. Like, talk about a title.
I mean, I have no idea. No, it's funny when you look back at things and I was just reflecting. My husband and I have been together for 20 years now, and I was still in college when we met. And so it's actually reflecting on the last 20 years and everything that I thought in the very beginning, like when I was graduating school versus where I am now, and how I never, ever, ever would have imagined this. I actually don't think there were even podcasts back then. So,
No.
that wouldn't have been a thing. But I started off as a fashion designer. So I'd gone to fashion school, and really in school, it was sort of like, okay, I'm going to design for other people. As a creative, I used to draw dresses. I learned how to cut and sew and make all the things. And they said, go work for someone else. And I was hired out of school to work for a really big company. It was still kind of run like a mom and pop, moved to Florida, became the designer of all things. Celebrities like Sarah Jessica Parker and Jessica Simpson were wearing my designs. And it was really this really cool thing. I was hired back from there to work for a celebrity clothing line. And what was cool is that we were all like, there are three of us, 25 and under, running her company ultimately. So I was given a lot of opportunities early on as a creative to sort of learn the ins and outs of growing a business. I didn't, my friends ended up at Nike or Gap or Abercrombie and
Wow.
Fitch. And so I was working more for mom and pop or for individual people. So I think just my experience in general landed me more in the entrepreneurial game. Like I was learning from people who were still the owners of the business, right? They weren't huge corporate companies. When I left working for the celebrity brand, I was, interviewing at really big companies like BCBG, things like that. And I had a neighbor who had a maternity line, and she's like, hey, if you want to come work with me while you're in between looking for a job, let's do it. And I have an idea. She's like, what if I helped other people, start clothing lines? Would you want to do that with me? I was like,
Hmm.
sure. I'm 26. I know a little bit more than other people at that point. And then, she ended up getting pregnant with a second kid, and she's like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. You can take the company. So I kind of fell into entrepreneurship at
Wow.
26 years old with this opportunity of we had three clients. We were leaving postcards in like the local coffee shop in downtown LA in the fashion district. And like, hey, if you have an idea for starting a clothing line, come to me and I will help you design it, develop it, produce it, and sell it. Because I was given all these experiences working for these other companies. And that was really the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey where I started Designer Consulting Co-op. I still technically have it and like 15, 16 years later. And I've launched over 2,000 fashion, apparel, and accessory brands. And in that, I've
No big deal.
learned, oh, no big deal. I'm always like,
Just let that roll off your
999
tongue, Jacqueline. That's just you're just a plebe like the rest of us.
999 more companies than most people, right? If I said like 1,000. But I was a designer, so I was ultimately like this agency for people. While I was doing that though, I was like, why don't I just start? I have my own ideas. I had ideas for clothing line. I had an idea for an accessories company. And so because I was doing it for all these other people, I also built one of my own. And the one that really did very well was called Cuffs Couture. And it was a wearable wrist wallet. And it came out with that where you could put your ID, your credit card, your lip gloss. You didn't have to take a bag with you, and you could kind of go out and about. I'm very low maintenance when it comes to I don't have a Mary Poppins bag. Let's just put it that way. And I came up with this idea, and what happened for me is I had the sewer, so I wasn't hand sewing everything, but I was definitely putting on the trims and gluing. I knew how to make things. My mom was helping me, my sister was helping me, and I ended up launching a website. I didn't think about Etsy because I think at that point it had to be handmade on Etsy, and so I wasn't making it with
Yeah.
my own two hands, so I was manufacturing. So I was like, can't do Etsy. So I built a website and literally launched to crickets. I was like, if you build it, they have not come. And I think a lot of us feel that way when we're
Yes.
launching these businesses. And that's one of the beauties of platforms like Etsy where the customers are already there. But I had done it and I got one sale and it was a friend. I got a second sale, it was the friend of that friend. And that was it. So I've really had to figure out like, what am I going to do after this? How am I going to grow this business? And so that's when I started exploring wholesale. That's when I started doing in-person markets. I started finding these like other channels to grow. And I ended up, Kim Kardashian, Carrie Underwood were clients that were my stuff. I sold to 60 different countries. I hit $100,000 in my first year as this kind of being my side hustle. And I ran that business for several years until I had a second kid.
Yeah.
I had Designer Consulting Co-op. I had this. I had a second kid, and people kept asking, well, where do we put our phones? Our phones kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, I didn't have an answer. And I was just kind of like, I built this business, I ran it, and I'm kind of done with it. I think it's like had its moment. And so that's actually how the Product Boss started because I had met she was a co-founder. We started this company together. She has exited and I've actually bought the company from her. But when we met, she was an Amazon expert and I went to her and I was like, "Hey, how can I liquidate product on Amazon?" And that was kind of the thing that started the Product Boss because her and I just started talking about product-based businesses. There was no one out there speaking about it. There were no podcasts. Everything was service-based or digital product based. And that's really how we started the podcast. It was this idea of other people aren't talking to people about product. And also the way that I grew my business, and it's our signature program, which is called Multi-Stream Machine, is this idea that there are multiple sales channels we can sell on.
Yes.
And that's really like the underlying part. So that's the story of how the product boss came to be and how I am here today.
What year did your podcast launch?
2018.
Okay, because you're amazing. Like there are over 700 episodes over there. Like
Oh yeah.
it is a lot of content. How
Mhm.
often do you drop episodes?
2 a week.
That is insane. That is so cool. Okay. So this is why I was so excited to talk to you, Jacqueline, because we do love Etsy. And I ended up on Etsy because had trouble selling on my own website. So basically you've just cracked the code for the harder scenario, which props to you. So it was totally coincidental that I ended up on Etsy. But I'm always telling my listeners that you have to, if you want to build legacy, if this isn't just like a for now thing, you're trying to build something that will stay with you, that will grow over time, that will give you a little more security, because we see issues like shop suspensions on Etsy out of nowhere. We see copycats sometimes come in. We see, I mean, all different kinds of things can happen. I don't go negative to it, but I'm also realistic. And
Right.
I encourage them, don't put all your eggs in the Etsy basket. You start on Etsy, you learn your basics. You learn how to frame your product. You learn how to take good pictures. You learn basic SEO and how to position, how to customer service. You let Etsy do the tech. But then down the road, you need to start building your email list. You need to start building your social media, and you need to eventually launch your own website, which is why I'm like, we need Jacqueline, because that's the piece that's a much heavier load. So, but a little birdie told me your mom did Etsy, and this is part of like why you have an interest in chatting with us, because well, tell us her experience. What did that teach you and her about the Etsy platform?
Yeah. I grew up with a maker as my mom.
Ugh,
She had 5
salt of
kids.
the earth.
I know. 5 kids, creative person. She was given the opportunity, but she came from London. And so really, she ended up going to school to be a secretary, because that was kind of in her generation what the women did. They didn't go to art school and pursue their creative passions. She became a wife and all the things. But I grew up her making stuff for me my entire life, whether it was like puff painted t-shirts or bows for my hair. If we said we needed something, she made it. She made all of our soccer banners. People would pay her to make the banners because she's amazing. I went to school to learn pattern and sewing. I could always draw. My mom can come up with an idea and actually physically figure out how to make it and make it. She's incredible. And so I grew up with this woman that talked about the regret of not pursuing her dream,
Oh,
her creative dream, her doing it, but then always feeling like she didn't know enough about business. She always felt kind of like scared to grow, scared to make something happen, because she's like, I don't know what kind of taxes I have to pay. I don't
yeah.
know what she was always afraid like the government was going to come and get her,
Yeah.
because she didn't know enough about business. But she always created. And then when I was in high school, she came out with this idea of beanbag chairs that were clear, made of clear vinyl. She colored all of the beads. She figured out where to source the styrofoam beads from. I remember her having like huge tubs of like garbage cans and painting the beads and making them colored. Now we see colored styrofoam and it's used to it. My mom's always like, I invented that.
She
Um,
did.
and she'd fill these bean bags. They were clear. She had like customized them, and she'd go to in-person markets. This is pre Etsy.
Stop it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then she would sell. There was a local children's company that she found out had like 17 different stores, and they wanted to order them for every single thing. And instead of her growing, she actually shut it down because she was so
She
scared.
was scared. She
She was
was
scared.
scared. Yes.
And she had kids, and she's like, "How am I gonna build a business and also do
Oh,
this?" So after, we're grown up, Etsy's around, she's divorced, she has more freedom. She's come up with other really cool ideas. She's making kids baby blankets. And then she had found these like Moroccan baskets that she was hand painting, customizing with people's initials on it. And so I encouraged her for Etsy, because the thing that I love about a platform like Etsy is it does handle the business side for you. You get the product, you need to know how to make the listings and, get the photos up and stuff, but they have the customer base. And the amazing thing now is like the transactions happen and they help you on the back end. Like even PayPal
yes.
submits 1099s. So it was a way for her to reach more people. She's able to kind of do the same idea that I talked about, where it's like she's got Etsy and a lot of her sales were coming from there, but she also branched out and sold wholesale. She
Yay.
she got into a store in Calabasas where the Kardashians have come back into this conversation. Kris Jenner had gotten a basket for every single one of them, because I saw all the painted like initials she did, and it was their Easter baskets a few years ago. So she was also able to like have this diversification, but she's still a maker. And there's a lot of me having to tell my mom, there's more effective ways of doing this. Like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever the picture is that you're showing them is usually the thing they're going to want to buy. Dealing with customer service on Etsy, people is sometimes a struggle. But she had the same thing that you talked about, which sucks, is that somewhere in England protested her best-selling product through Etsy as like saying there was like copyright infringement, and they
Oh,
shut her best-selling product down. But when we looked at it, there was no comparison. Like there it wasn't a copycat. And so exactly what you said, that's my fear for people on Etsy or anyone that's like stuck on a certain sales channel. Even with my mom, I had to like help her navigate through getting that item shut down, to get it back live, because it is this kind of like struggle. But yeah, I know the Etsy life. I know the fears that go in it. I know all the stuff that
yes.
we have to put into it. My mom does it. And I'm always like, Mom, people pay me a lot of money for this advice. Like, you should take it.
Jacqueline, I'll be your mom for a month. What do you need? Seriously. Okay, but and that's the thing. Etsy ultimately needs to become a lead generation tool. I just got a DM today. I get them all the time. I've been building the shop. I've been listening to your podcast for a year. I'm doing awesome. I took the step. I built this amazing shop. It's my livelihood. They suspended me last night. I
Oh,
don't mean say this to scare people. It's just that we have to remember that we are playing on someone else's playground,
yes.
and it's a beautiful playground. It has all the amenities. They even have toilet paper in the bathroom, but like they can close down the playground. And so I just like to encourage people, pay attention to people like Jacqueline so that we can build it out. So, okay, what are some of the best ways that like, how do you recommend people start building a plan B? I just want to like let you go. Did you ever hear of Mork and Mindy? You're probably
Yeah,
too
yeah,
young.
yeah. No, no, no.
Okay. Do you know, like with his with Robin Williams' script, there would be huge blocks where they would just be like, let Mork do his thing. And I just feel like that we just need to let Jacqueline do her thing. Tell us about the plan B.
I'm
How could
so
we
honored. Robin Williams
I know,
comparison.
RIP. We love Robin
I
so
know.
much.
Well, okay. So I don't believe, I have a student of ours in our program that makes $4 million on Etsy with customized products.
Yep.
It's 4 million eggs in the Etsy basket. And
Yep.
so if something happens, she has a whole warehouse and team and machinery that rely on her and this business she's built. And I say it's like borrowed land. You can't build on borrowed land. They have the rules. They can, like you said, shut the gate down, which I'm
Yep.
sorry that happened to you. So I'm never going to say turn off the faucet on the thing that's working. It's
Nope.
working. And you're trying, you're testing, you're trying, you're seeing what people want, you're seeing what people buy, you're really getting to know. But it's to have another sales channel. I would say at least starting with one. I agree with you. I love the idea of your own website. It's probably, I believe everyone should have their own website. It's probably the hardest thing to get going because we have to drive our own traffic there. It doesn't have other people's customers, but it's yours.
Yeah.
And your email list is yours. Those are two assets that you as a company own that you get to, you get to keep the data, which are your customers. There are other ways you can sell, like we teach about wholesale, Amazon,
Love
in
it.
person, other channels. If you want to decide which is the right sales channel for you and your business, some people will never sell on Amazon. They don't want that. Some people, I think for Etsy sellers, wholesale is a great way to go. In person is a great way to go. For sure, getting your own website because you want to start building that brand representation. But I would say try and add on an additional sales channel. And then we teach this, and we've actually got this for your listeners. We have the Bestseller Secrets Challenge coming up, which is totally free. And we're going to help them. And I think you're going to have a link for them in the show notes.
Yes.
In that, we're going to help you identify what your bestsellers are or what you can be known for. And that's the thing that if you know that this sells all the time, it sells well on Etsy, could we take a few of those pieces and move them to another sales channel? So it's not the entire collection, but if you're going to go wholesale or whatever, you're going to create a collection around it, and then you're going to try and sell those on another channel because we know they work. We know people like them. We know they're priced appropriately because people are buying them. And then how can we then grow on another sales channel? So that's what I would say is like identifying your best sellers and what you're known for, adding on another sales channel. And then can we double your revenue by, let's say you make $2,000 a month on Etsy. Can we get you to $2,000 a month wholesale or $2,000 a month selling, I don't know, through Instagram or TikTok shops or
Yes.
some other sales channel? And now you have a $4,000 a month business and you have two sales channels you can continue to grow on.
Hey, you guys, coming in hot with a pro tip. Are you ready? Do you use special fonts, graphics, SVGs, or other digital goods to create your products or run your Etsy business? You need Creative Fabrica. So, for years in my shop, I walked that fine line of either using stock fonts and graphics that were right there on Canva, and I had a ton of trouble differentiating myself because, let's be honest, everyone else was using them too. Or I had to go invest a ton of money, sometimes hundreds of dollars, to buy them direct from a designer so I could create something extra unique and stunning, right? And don't even get me started about the whole factor of making sure I had a commercial use license so that I could use it for business. It was a whole nother expense and hassle, to be honest with you. But I have since found a better way, and I'm letting you in on the secret, okay? Enter Creative Fabrica. You guys, getting a membership to Creative Fabrica has been a game changer for me, okay? I've literally saved thousands of dollars. I'm able to create faster because I no longer have to scour the internet for what I need. It's very convenient. Not to mention, I don't have to wait for my budget to allow for a new digital asset before I can create something new. I have this membership. I can just access it whenever I want. So what is it? Creative Fabrica is a website where you can access unlimited digital goods for just $9.99 a month, like $9.99. This my jaw drops because this is an insane deal because everything comes with a commercial license as well, which means you're allowed to use them legally for profit. And I have to chuckle because this is less than I used to pay for just one font before, y'all. Like $9.99 for access. Okay, they have over 6 million fonts, graphics, and other digital resources that you will have full access to at any time. It's essentially like to be honest, this is like the top Etsy seller's best kept secret that you are now privy to. Welcome to the family. Did I mention you belong here? You belong here. And on top of that, Creative Fabrica, so they discovered this podcast. They reached out to me and they were like, Lizzie, we want to offer your audience like a special little perk. I'm just like, well, we love that. Tell us what it is. So now you guys can get 1 month free. You can get a free trial for up to 10 downloads and you can test drive it and see if it's a good fit for you. Like I literally pay my own membership. I love it. So if nothing else, like take a free trial, stock up on some fresh stuff for free. Thank you, Creative Fabrica. And if you love the service as much as I do, it's just $9.99 per month to keep it going. And you can also cancel at any time. No questions asked. I love that. I love it when they do that. So if you want to jump in on this sweet deal, just go to howtosellyourstuff.com/creative. Again, that's howtosellyourstuff.com/creative. And you can grab that free trial. I'm so excited, you guys, to share this with you because this is like one of those pieces to the puzzle that can just change everything. It can just up the whole game. So just like let me know how it goes, okay? I loved how you just shared on a recent episode about like the different ways that you can actually scale your income. And it doesn't just have to be you add more, like it doesn't have to just be one answer. Like I think you were talking about how you could get someone to add more to cart versus, talk about that a little bit. I think that's so interesting. And we don't think about that very much on Etsy. Sometimes we're thinking a lot smaller.
Well, Etsy's hard because it doesn't have upsells and cross sells. Like you don't have the
Right.
technology in it. So whether you're doing this on, if you have your own, and I love Shopify
Yes, same.
as a platform because it can grow with you. So whether you're a startup to, an 8-figure, which is like an over $10 million business. I have to say that because when someone told me they were 8 figures when I was still learning numbers,
You're like, is that
and I
a
was like,
process? No.
it's like, is that a billion? Like what number are we going to? Anything
Actually, you
past a
should tell us
million.
what like upsale and cross sale mean too, because a lot of folks listening probably don't know what that even means.
I will. So if you are, a really good thing is like if we think about the basic of like a grocery store and you walk or you're at Target, you're going to the checkout, there's magazines, there's gum, there's chocolate, there's candy, there's all these little things they're trying to
Not
sell
on your
you.
list. They are not written on
Not
your
on your
list.
list, but they are getting you to spend more money while you wait. It's an upsell. Right? Now, if we think about this from a digital perspective, a lot of times you might see this. Let's say you're shopping on a website and you click on an item and then it says, people also like this, or this pairs well with this. You may want this. So it tells you like customers pair these two things together. That's a cross sell. And another way an upsell can happen is like I add it to my cart and then as I'm checking out, it goes, but wait, for $10 off, you can add this to your cart. Do you want it? It's like a one-time chance. So there's lots of technology and stuff like that. And that's how it works on your website. Another way you can do it is if you're in person and someone's buying a necklace and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I actually have this matching bracelet. Would you like to add the bracelet on for just X? McDonald's is great. You want fries with that? Would you like to when you go to the movies, do you wanna, like, upgrade to a large for 25 cents? Those are upsells, and then cross sells are to products, like, that could benefit them. So, I think the thing is a lot of times we think in simple ways where we're like, we need more leads. We need more people to know we exist, and the more people we get, the more we can sell to them. But what if you kept the same amount of people, but you just sold more to those people? You got them to have an average cart order that was higher. So if they're normally spending, $30 with you, could we get them to spend $45 with you? We could increase our revenue and our profit by just selling more to the people that are already buying. And another tip is a lot of times we forget and ignore the people who have already bought from us. They're
Yes.
like, I don't know if it's 8 or 9 times more likely to buy from us again than trying to acquire a new customer. And so now it's easier to sell to me again because I've already bought from you than you needing to go convince a stranger down the street to come spend their hard earned cash with you.
Do you have a favorite story of someone that you've worked with that has just like started so simple? Like their personal transformation is maybe your favorite thing because they started so unsure and like so simple and not really thinking they could do it. And then like even surprise themselves maybe at like what they were able to build. I think that these stories can be so fun and we Etsy sellers just geek out about it so much.
Um,
Someone you love to highlight on your website or you've brought on the podcast maybe?
yeah, let me think of
I'm
someone that
also
might.
putting her on the spot, you guys, because I'm just looking at her and like, this is gonna be so good because she's got a ton of testimonials.
So somebody who surprised themselves of like where they started.
Or even you, that it was just so cute watching them go from like like these are some of my favorites when the people are just like, I never thought I could do that. I never thought in,
A million
5 years
years.
I could accomplish this much.
Yeah, I actually have some printed out next to me right now, so I will go off of that so I can like, remember because there are some people that I really love, but so I know there was one mom, her name is Sarah, and she has a caramel and sweets company. And so, when she kind of first met us, she couldn't believe that she could price her items higher. So inside of my
Huh.
program, Multi-Stream Machine, we actually have a whole thing of a cost sheet and how to price your products. So many times, especially makers, do
We
not charge.
undervalue.
Yeah. It's hard to charge for ourselves to work on something. We think, this is how many hours. I remember my mom wanted to charge like $100 an hour for her time. I was like, Mom, I know you're worth 100, but we cannot, that will not equal out to our customers. So a lot of times I'm like, if we were to hire someone to do that part of the job, what would we pay them hourly? So she just did not believe that she could price her items at the price point that she was learning she needed to price them at according to the cost sheet in my pricing module inside of our program. And
Wow.
so she did it. She like got really scared. She's like, oh my God, can I do this? And on day one, she raised the prices and she couldn't believe it, but like they were flying off the shelves. People were buying them. In fact, more people were buying them because sometimes when we undervalue our product and we charge less, people wonder what's wrong with it. Is
Isn't
it
that
crappy?
strange? Do you know why? I don't get that at all.
I mean, I do. If you think about, let's just think about if we were to compare two cars and you were
Yeah.
going to take like a Hyundai and like a Mercedes. Component wise, they're made out of metal, an engine, and digital screens. So why do you value a Mercedes more than a Hyundai?
It's like the reputation. It's like it that it carries. It's the value that it carries being like we know it's fancier.
Yeah. So I drive a Kia, and Kia has the same CEO of BMW. They had taken the CEO from BMW. So when Kia took the CEO, he made sure like the technology was super Lux. Kias are a good car. You get like
Yes.
10-year warranty. They are done really well, but they don't have the name of like a BMW, let's say. So actually I'm getting way more value for a $50,000 Telluride than
Yes.
if I were to pay something else at a higher price point. So the thing is that we sometimes believe, okay, so if you go and buy, I don't know, a white t-shirt from Walmart or a white t-shirt from Nordstrom's,
Oh my
and the
gosh.
white
So
t-shirt at
good.
Walmart is like,
Three,
$8.99.
$4. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing.
$3. Maybe I'm going Target prices. So 3 or $4 for the t-shirt, and then someone shows you a $65 white t-shirt at Nordstrom's. Do you think that, okay, well, I'm gonna get the Walmart one, but it's probably not gonna wash well. It's disposable fashion. I'll have it just for a moment, and I'm okay if it disintegrates. versus your expectation around the $65 shirt, but they might be made out of the same cotton with the same thread with
Hmm.
the same shape. So it's perceived value a lot of times when it comes to money. Now, obviously, there's more things that have to go along with it, but if someone tries to sell you dollar caramel or $10 caramel, you might say, or caramel, depending on who I'm talking to. You might be like, well, what's wrong with the dollar one? Like, is that off price? Is it discount? Is it old?
Is it old?
Is it old? Right. So we undervalue our stuff and we underrepresent it, but sometimes just raising our prices will actually attract the right customer.
That is fascinating.
Racing to the bottom is not the way to grow a business. My problem with Etsy is that you all see each other on this playground.
Exactly. And that's exactly, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That is almost what causes us to, that's why we have to match the lower price, is because the customer isn't looking at you for you. They're looking at you against others. So pros
Yeah.
and cons, right, of the marketplace.
Yeah, and it's the product and it's like, "Oh, I can get this banner or that banner for the bachelorette I'm going to," and you're kind of like, "Okay, maybe I'll look at the reviews, but if they more or less kind of look the same, maybe I'm going for the
Hmm.
cheaper one." So
Hmm.
you're being pitted against each other, and it's not building a brand and a brand like a brand that we're on there, like the representation of it. It's instead like product to product,
Yes.
and it's digital. So they actually can't touch, feel, or understand the difference in the brand. So she ended up back to Sarah, like, she ended up raising her prices. They flew off the shelves. So she goes, "Okay, well, Jacqueline said, like, if they keep flying off the shelves, you could raise the price again." So she did. So on day 2, she bumped up her prices to an even higher price. And within 2 days, she sold out again. She made $15,000 in 2 days by raising her prices on things that she could not move before, and it was a brand new business. So we undervalue ourselves and we think it's this race to the bottom, but maybe, just maybe, on the platform you're playing the game on that playground.
Yeah.
But what if you could build your own playground? What if you could build your own place that you got to make the rules, that you got to compete in a different way, that you got to basically set your own rules and grow your business? And that's why I love this idea of multiple sales channels, and we call it like multi-stream machine of like revenue, is that sure, you can keep the faucet turned on with Etsy, you can play the Etsy game, and
Yeah.
Etsy
Generate
brings
leads.
so much for
Mhm.
you. And then also, how do you grow off that platform so you have a more sustainable business?
So okay, this is such a fun conversation. So what Etsy sellers say to me though, because we talk
Oh,
about this,
uh-huh.
but the question is, and fair, like how do we drive traffic? Because Etsy has what 90 million shoppers on there, and like the nice thing is okay, we just have to perfect our SEO, set up our listing, and have great photography, and then we can plug and play. Whereas, like I'm sure it was you who said it, like just because you build it doesn't mean they come. How do we start to drive traffic to our own thing if we want to start branching out and adding that extra stream? Or like, and like for that matter, like how do you even start wholesaling? Are these things that we can just like touch on a little bit?
Yeah, I think, and I teach an idea of, and we do this on the third day of the challenge, is like your path to profit. So every single business owner has a different path to profit. We all have a different outcome we want in our lives.
Yes.
Some
So
people want
good.
it as a side hustle, right? They still want to work full time. They like the security of their job, but it'd be great. Rachel Dunn Jewelry, Etsy seller, has applied everything I teach still to Etsy. She makes $100,000 a year on her side hustle of handmade jewelry. I'll take that.
Yes.
Right? And so she's still on Etsy and she's still selling it, but now she went from like 30,000 to 50,000 to $100,000 a year, just kind of learning some of the different ways that I teach it. So going back to this idea of what channel, I think it's thinking about, what do you want for your business? Do you want it to stay a side hustle? What kind of revenue? We're going to work backwards from your life goals. Some people are like, yes, I want to go all in. I want to be a product boss. This is my thing. I even don't want to make it with my own 2 hands. I want to start to hire other makers. They can
Yes.
make it. I want to manufacture, whatever your choice is. And I want to grow this to $1 million business. Cool. Then you have other people that are like, I'd just like to add an extra $2,000 a month to my side hustle. Awesome. So we make that decision. And then we also have to make a decision of, okay, what do you sell? The scalability of it. Like, is it super custom? Does it take a really long time to make? Like, can we make a lot of them? And then you can kind of decide what other sales channel you go to. Wholesale, we do need to be able to make more of it and
Yeah.
ship it to stores, right? You can do an element of custom, like my mom with her Moroccan baskets at this store she was selling to. They had them visually there. People would place orders through the store. They'd
Oh
contact
wow.
my mom. she'd make them, she'd had a turnaround time, she'd take them to the store, and the store would sell them to the customer. So there was like a whole other process. So it's still wholesale, sort of, but they weren't pre-buying. They like were almost like a showroom for people to see it. There's lots of different ways you can do this. I do love wholesale because when you ask like how do we get the customers to know about us? I love platforms, sales channels that have customers built in. Wholesale, all we need to do is make a relationship with buyers at other boutiques. They have the foot traffic. They have the customers that are walking in the door. We have to only sell to one person, a bunch of things. They're going to sell it to their customers.
Yeah.
And people are going to discover your products on their shelves. That's what I did with Cuffs Couture. That's how we started to grow. That's how Kim Kardashian found my stuff. She went to a store. She had a photographer there because how else do you shop? Um, and she discovered them. She bought them for her sister. We got a picture. Now, doing your own site is not a bad thing if you like to create content. If you're willing, you're either going to spend money or time. On Etsy, a lot of you might be spending money on ads, right? To drive traffic to your listing. You're going to spend money on money or time. So, do you want to create content and to figure out how to play the game of social media so that you can create an audience to sell to? You will need to be building an email list. And then you can send them to your Shopify site. You can sell it through the platform. You can do that, but you have to put in the time for creating content. But I also tell people here, let me just tell you this. I have a client. She's one of our students. She has 1,500 followers. She sells bras and underwear for women. She has 1,500 followers on Instagram. Her company makes $25 million a year.
You've got to be kidding me.
1,500 followers. I have another student. She was a maker just like us. She understood the bestseller secrets challenge. She figured out what her bestseller was. She ended up getting one product on Amazon. Within 90 days, she made $31,500 with one product on Amazon. She hit $200,000 in her first year, left her full-time job. She's full-on product boss off of one product.
Wow.
So the idea is like and she has 24 followers. So the idea is like we do not need social media. We just need sales channels that have customers built in. Or if we're going to drive them to our own sales channel, we have to do the marketing work and drive our own customers there. And you can do that through paid, organic, and partnership. And so a lot of times I don't recommend doing paid ads yet, like Google and Facebook ads just yet, but paid, organic, or partnership where you partner with someone else and you get in front of their audience. So really, we just need to get in front of more eyes.
I'm so excited that you have more, there's more to it than just, you've got to figure out how to grow social media, because I feel like in this day and age, I mean, thank goodness we at least have TikTok now where it feels, like we can, there's some virality as opposed to Instagram, which I've been trying to build a new brand on Instagram recently. And I got put in Instagram jail for 30 days just trying to follow,
you need to burn some sage. I need you. Mercury is not in retrograde, and somehow this is all happening.
I could give you a list. I really probably do need to do something like that. I truly, I could give you a list of funny things happening. But the point is that it can feel very daunting to be like, it's going to be 3 years before I have a social media presence that even matters. Now, your example with 1,500 followers is intriguing. Are they generating that business from their Instagram, or they're using several channels? They are
you
not.
Don't need Instagram.
That was your point. Okay.
Yeah. If I tell you all right now, because when I started my business, social media did not exist in the way that it exists. We had MySpace. I don't know if the kids remember that. Facebook was invented when we were in college. So, we did not have social media as a way to market. It is such a blessing that we actually have access to people worldwide in an instant. Like I can reach someone on the other side of the planet if they're following me. This is not available to us in the past. So it's incredible, but it's made us lazy. I say you can't spell marketer without maker. Can't spell maker without marketer. I don't know. But the idea here is a lot of times we get really comfortable in wanting to be the makers, being the creative and making it. And we just hope that it sells. But we have to be marketers as well. Yep. Marketers understand how to find and attract customers and how to keep them coming back to buy more, right? So it's marketing and sales. And so yes, social, but I promise you all, I have so many stories of people that have very, very, very small followings on social media. And they have Rachel Dunn Jewelry. she makes $100,000 a year on handmade jewelry
Part-time.
as her side hustle, does not have a big following. She does it on Etsy. And then, I can also tell you, like, I have someone who sells adult coloring books and she's blown up on TikTok shops, for example. And
Yes.
she's made like $200,000 since April selling adult coloring books. I'm like, what am I
Yes.
doing? I'm doing it all wrong.
I know, right? Because is she using Amazon's publishing house? Like what is it called?
No, I don't know her back end exactly, but she didn't have to go viral with every post. She also didn't even need that many followers. She just needed certain things to go viral. And then she goes live and she sells. So you get to choose your own adventure. So if you like TikTok, if you like that playground, if you like Instagram and you like that playground, keep doing it. But I promise you, there are other ways you can build your business that you actually don't need social. We all need a presence, right? We all want to have a presence somewhere,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
do not need to figure out how do I get my business to go viral. It's just that if like you're doing in person and someone pops by and then, the kids these days, they'll look you up on social. They're not going to go to
Yes.
your
They don't want your
www,
business card. They just gonna go follow you on Instagram or screenshot
right?
it.
So you want some presence on there. So if they follow, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. I get what you're selling. But it doesn't have to be the way that you're always going to find customers. So there are just different ways. You just get to choose which way you want to do it.
Hey there, How to Sell Your Stuff fam. Real quick, I want to make sure you guys know about my most popular free resource that's waiting for you over on my website. Seriously, thousands of people have downloaded this puppy because it's so packed with meaty tips to help you get more sales in your Etsy shop. So first of all, just a little background, or this won't mean much to you at all. But in case you don't know my story, when I first started my Etsy shop in 2016, I had been blogging for a while and had built a decent following on Facebook. We did a nursery reveal for some DIY reclaimed wood signs that my husband built, and we painted with homemade stencils. It's so cringeworthy now. And a few of my followers were like, oh my gosh, those are so cute. They're so rustic. Where can I buy those? And so as you can imagine, the wheels were just turning in my entrepreneurial little mind. With my baby, I wasn't going to be able to continue the social media consulting work that I've been doing because I was constantly on these team calls and needing to do hours and hours of deep focused work. And it just wasn't going to fly. And I really wanted to be present with my daughter. So that's how I ended up on Etsy. And I decided to try and sell reclaimed wood signs. It was the height of the farmhouse craze. So just imagine, like, thank you to the lovely Joanna Gaines, everything farmhouse, everything painted wood. And I thought with my blog followers, I might just have a bit of a leg up. But I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I put in the hours. I got my first round of products ready, photographed, meticulously put together my listings, clicked publish, and absolutely nothing happened. And I think I made $60 total in the first few months because of my blog followers. And then it was like absolute crickets. So like you may feel if you're just getting started and not seeing results yet, I was confused and definitely a bit discouraged. I for sure thought that I was onto something and I didn't know at all why it wasn't working. But the thing about a true-blooded entrepreneur is that we ultimately see business like a puzzle to solve, right? Like we find ways to make it fun. And we're a little bit stubborn and determined to just figure it out. As I always like to say, thanks to the book and phrase coined by Marie Forleo, everything is for figure outable. And so I dug my heels in and started studying everything I could find about making sales on Etsy. I studied the competition. I poured through best-selling listings all over the internet. I took an Etsy course and I started testing things. And lo and behold, by about 6 months, I was making more and more and more sales. Like I just keep learning and tweaking and growing and testing until it started to work. And I built my monthly income to $6,000 plus per month. Like there were even months when I would hit 10, 11, or 12K. And it was the best feeling ever. Like if you can just kind of put yourself in that moment where like you figure it out and you start really making the money. So full circle, back to that free resource that started this whole conversation. When I moved into the Etsy coaching space, I sat down and I wrote out everything that I had done to create results, like all the changes and tweaks I made that turned into more and more sales. And from that, I wrote the first rendition of my Etsy course, Listings That Sell. So I had somewhere to house like all of the details. And I created a free PDF outlining 4 major strategies I used so that I could help someone new or struggling to at least get started without having to invest in a course, right? So that PDF is called The 4 Strategies I Used to Grow My Etsy Shop from 25 to 6,000 plus per month. And it is by far my most popular, most downloaded freebie. You can absolutely check it out. The link is in the show notes for you. And I hope it gets your wheels turning and helps you start to move the needle in your Etsy shop in the direction of your goals. So grab it today, and I cannot wait to hear about your takeaways. Let's say we obviously have people listening who we've been listening to tell them to scale, and they're like, yes, 2024 is the year, and this is exciting because I don't have to necessarily, I can find the right path for me. And that is even like Etsy stories. What I always tell them is there's not just one way. There are so many different ways, and that's why I always highlight stories of different people. So let's say they're listening and they're like, yeah, okay, I want to explore this. I want to reverse engineer the goal that I want, the products that I have, into creating the additional streams of income. What are some of the resources you have available, or how can they take advantage? Like, when is the seminar happening, or the multi-stream machine happening?
Okay, well, we kick off our Bestseller Secrets Challenge the week of Valentine's Day. So it starts on the 12th, but just think the week of Valentine's Day.
Yes.
The doors are opening on Valentine's Day because that's when we all fall in love and end up in a long-term relationship together.
Okay.
Just kidding.
No, I love that. We love commitment.
We love it, right? We're committing to ourselves and business owners.
Yes.
I think you're all listening to a podcast because you like to learn, right? You want to learn more about business. I actually just coached someone this morning, and she's like, I was listening to your podcast before I even had a business idea. She's like, I just like to listen to business podcasts because it's like you never know. It's the same people who watch Shark Tank that are like, I have an idea.
Oh,
One day I might
Shark
do
Tank
that.
is crack. So good.
I have a student right now that it's going to be airing really soon, and I don't know what the outcome is. So I'm really excited for her.
Proud mama moment.
I know.
Okay.
I
Like, who
know.
cares what the outcome is? Like,
I
what?
know.
The outcome is they're on Shark
I've
Tank.
just been coaching her on how she's going to have enough product to sell to people because they estimate that you'll sell between $250,000 to $1 million in product, whether or not you get funded.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Maybe
right.
even
So,
more if you don't get funded.
I mean,
Yeah, but how do we like go further with you though, Jacqueline? If people want to, like, so we need to do multi-stream machine. Is that immediately available? And you said it's free, or is that something that you run live?
well, okay, so it's always available, but if you do come and join us on the week, like the 14th, the week of Valentine's Day, there is a $500 off promo. So if you come
Okay.
then, if you don't, that $500 or whatever you invest into the program, you will make that money back. I'm so confident in that. I remember Galicia Johnson. It was like the night of one of the challenges. She's an Etsy maker. She was making all these like hand beaded bracelets, and just one of the things that she learned before she even joined the program, she learned about focusing on our bestsellers, raising her prices. Within 8 hours of getting off that call, she's sold $500 worth of bracelets using
What?
what we teach. She wasn't making any money. And then literally a week later, she's like, I'm packing up $700 worth of orders going out just from like a couple of things that she made. So I am confident that if people even learn one little thing, I mean, when it comes to pricing, like pricing yourself and getting profit, even that in itself, or letting yourself off the hook about social media,
Yeah.
it's going to change the game for you and finding community. So I invite you, you can always go deeper with me inside of this program. It's an incredible program. There's almost 5,000 students that have like changed their lives, and that's called Multi-Stream Machine. So we teach you about systems. It's like essential systems to have in your business, visibility. So ways that you can get visibility for your business. We do talk about social, but we also talk about email and other ways for people to find you and discover you, like how you get more eyes on your business. And then sales, multiple sales channels that you can add on. And we walk you step by step through these sales channels. So you get to decide, okay, I think I want to approach wholesale. You watch that wholesale module. I walk you step by step through it. And it's not in the way of getting you on some sort of platform that exists out there right now, even though I love the platforms for like fair.com.
Yeah.
It exists, but it feels a little bit like Etsy. It's very crowded. It's hard to stand out. We're kind of waiting for people to come find us. So I actually teach you how you're going to go find a store owner and how you're going to sell to them. And then we also teach you Amazon. We teach you in person. We teach you how to optimize your website to sell. So that's really, I'll tell you, the most effective way for people who are looking to build their businesses to their first 100,000 or past 100,000, and you feel like you're only on one or two sales channels and you want to get stronger. That's how to go deeper.
Okay. And where are the best places to find you and connect?
Oh, well, I'm on Instagram at the product boss. I'm not on TikTok because I couldn't figure that one out. So
Oh.
it's like, there's a lot of work over here for things that aren't great. But no, we're at the product boss actually everywhere, including what's formerly known as Twitter. And then you can you can just make sure to follow the show, subscribe. And that's the product boss anywhere you listen to podcasts. And then I'm just really excited to see so many of your community inside of
Yes.
this free challenge, because we've got this pop-up Facebook community, you're going to learn a lot. And if you go deeper with us into multi-stream machine, it will be amazing. There's going to be so much support, and it's just going to be such a game changer.
Okay. And what is the free, because I'm going to link all these things. What is it's the free 5-day secrets. What is that
It's
called?
called the Best Seller Secrets Challenge.
Okay, that's the bestseller secrets challenge. Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
We will make sure that is super clear in the show notes, because you guys know I'm the biggest show note geek on the planet. And that will be, I'll be super clear. But Jacqueline, thank you so much. I think like we really need to be able to rub shoulders and listen to someone like you, because we love Etsy and we are over here. And you know, I'm helping folks who are like too scared to even take that first step. Like, it's a really good launch pad, but so many of us have grown up together now, and we need you to show us the next step, to start building some legacy, to start building some security. And you've got me totally geeking out on this idea that I can not do social media. I don't have to, I could wholesale, or I could go just find, I could just figure out how to upsell my products. There's so many ways. You've got me.
Yeah.
You tell my brain is trying. I can't even put sentences together.
Yeah, no, I even
And
think
that's
like
where
figuring out how to drive them from Etsy, which that we do talk about this within the group, but like how we can, I know you can't get their email addresses. So do you want me to give you like a little tip real fast?
we can, and we do have ways around that, but that are legal. I'm very compliant with rules. But yes, tell me.
Right. Well, you might already know it, but like people will give a coupon code to join their email list for the Etsy platform. Is that legal?
Yeah, you can put it like in your welcome message. You can put it in your listings. Yes, and you can.
But then you have to email them.
Yes.
Because so many of you will get the emails and like never email anybody, and then email them, and your customers want you to tell them where to go, what to do, what to buy. So then you invite them to come check out your website. You invite them and tell them about the other places that they can like shop from you and how you can meet that need. So I think a lot of times we think, oh, if I just give them the URL, they're going to go. But in fact, they really need that invitation from you. So there is that work of plucking them from the Etsy world and moving them over to your platform, which is doable. But then even if you didn't touch your Etsy, buyers or customers, these other ways that I've told you, like there's so many different ways, and you just pick which one works best for you.
Okay, amazing. So our best next step is the bestseller secrets challenge. We all need to be getting in on that, linked in this, and then we can go from there and start reverse engineering how we scale this.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time and your willingness to share with us. It means the world to us. We really needed this.
Thank you. It was so great being here, and I can't wait to connect with your listeners on Instagram and in the group.
They're the absolute best. So guys, thanks for hanging out with us today for another episode of How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. And until next week, go make something awesome. I love y'all so much. Bye. And that's a wrap on this episode of How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're looking for more resources, head on over to howtosellyourstuff.com, where you'll find podcast show notes, all the links from today's episode, the blog, courses, coaching, and more. If this episode was helpful to you, awesome. The greatest compliment I can receive from you is a rate, review, and subscribe on this podcast. Not only will it allow us to connect again on a future episode, it lets me know I'm providing you with value and helps other people find this content more easily. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support. Have a great day and see you next time.